Have you ever wondered if your thoughts, your state of mind, could actually protect you from getting sick? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating scientific paper that asks that exact question. We're looking at meditation and its surprising potential role in the fight against COVID-19.
So, let's just get right to the heart of it. Here's the big question. Can your mental state, something as, abstract as meditation, actually change the physical stuff in your blood to help fight off a virus like SARS-CoV-2? I know it sounds a little bit like science fiction, but that's exactly what a team of researchers wanted to find out.
Okay, so we're breaking down a 2023 study from a journal called Brain, Behavior, and Immunity Health. Now think back to when the pandemic was unfolding. Scientists were looking everywhere for any possible tool to manage the virus, and that led one team to ask a truly surprising question.
So what they were trying to do here was find a real, measurable link between having a consistent meditation practice and a person's resilience to the virus. And they weren't just looking for, a fuzzy connection. They were hunting for a specific biological mechanism, something they could actually point to.
So where do you even start with a question like that? Well, the investigation began pretty simply, by just asking a large group of people about their experiences. And this is where they found their first big clue, hidden in survey data from folks who attended meditation workshops. And right away, a really clear pattern started to emerge from the data. The longer someone had been meditating, the less likely they were to say they got infected. Get this. There was even what they called a dosing effect, meaning the more often someone meditated, the lower their chances of infection seemed to be. And for those who did get sick, meditators said that annoying stuff like brain fog and congestion just cleared up faster.
Okay, but this is where good science really has to kick in. You see these two things happening together, but does it actually mean one is causing the other? Or could it just be a total coincidence? Maybe people who meditate also happen to live healthier lives in other ways. How do you possibly separate all those factors?
And this really gets to a core challenge in science. Correlation just means two things are happening around the same time. But causation, well, that's the holy grail. That's proving one thing directly causes the other. The survey showed a correlation, for sure. But to find causation, the researchers needed physical proof. They had to go to the lab.
I love this part. To find that proof, they designed this absolutely brilliant experiment. They took the question that the survey brought up and they put it under the microscope, literally, to see if there was something tangible, something physical in the blood of meditators that could explain these results.
So here's how they did it. It's actually pretty elegant. They took blood from 3 different groups: non-meditators, new meditators, and long-term, really experienced meditators. Then they spun that blood down to get the plasma. That's the liquid part. They took that plasma and bathed human lung cells in it. And then, the key step, they introduced a decoy virus. Now this thing is totally harmless, but it's been engineered to have the same key, that spike protein, that the real coronavirus uses to unlock and get inside our cells. And then they just sat back and counted how many cells the decoy virus managed to infect. And the results, wow, they were incredibly clear. As you can see right here, the cells that were treated with plasma from the control group, they showed a high rate of infection. With plasma from the novice meditators, that rate dropped. But here's the kicker. The plasma from the experienced meditators offered the most protection by far, seriously reducing the decoy virus's ability to infect those lung cells.
And it gets even more compelling. This protective effect wasn't just some one-trick pony. The researchers tested the plasma against decoy viruses designed to look like both the original Wuhan strain and that much more infectious Delta variant. And yeah, the plasma from the experienced meditators worked effectively against both of them.
So this was the confirmation they were looking for. Something in the blood of experienced meditators was actively blocking the virus. The investigation now turned into a kind of molecular manhunt. What exactly was this secret weapon?
Right. This was the million-dollar question. The experiment worked, we know that. But why did it work? What specific factor was creating this protective shield? The researchers started digging through the plasma, trying to find the answer.
And they found it, a protein called serpina-5. This protein was found in way higher concentrations in the blood of the experienced meditators. The study basically identified serpina-5 as the molecular bodyguard, the key factor that seems to physically block the virus from getting into cells. Now, the study doesn't explain the whole chain reaction from the mental act of meditation to the physical production of this protein. That's probably the next big question for this research. But it did prove the connection is there.
And this is what connects all the dots. it wasn't just that Serpina-5 was there. The researchers found a direct link. The more Serpina-5 a person's plasma had, the better it was at stopping the decoy virus from infecting the cells. This was the biological proof they were looking for.
So, what does this all mean for us in the real world? Well, the study's conclusion offers a really powerful and practical take.
So here it is, the direct conclusion from the paper itself. They state that meditation may serve as a possible adjuvant therapy. Now that term is really, really important. Adjuvant means a helper. They're not saying meditation is a cure or that it replaces vaccines. Not at all. They're suggesting it could be a supportive practice that helps the body's main lines of defense work even better.
Okay, so let's just sum up the key takeaways here, because this is super important. This was one single, really cool study. It used a harmless decoy virus, not the live one. So it's important to know this doesn't prove meditation prevents COVID-19. What it does do is provide a plausible biological reason why those survey results might be real. It points to meditation as a potential supportive practice, and like all good science, it wraps up by saying more research is definitely needed. And that kind of leaves us with this final, really powerful question. This study gives us a tiny glimpse into the profound connection between our mind and our body. I mean, if a focused mental practice can actually change our blood chemistry to help fight off a virus, what other untapped potential is lying inside of us? What else are we capable of? It's a pretty fascinating thought to end on. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.